Shalom, Most High in Christ bless. I'm also Micaiah, and today's reader is
Brother Nathaniel.
This is another edition of 15 Minutes with the Lions. The topic of today's class is the split of Southern and Northern Kingdom, right? So the reason why this is a heavy topic is because this is an important part of history you need to know in the Old Testament to understand the New Testament. So when you start to hear about Gentiles being mentioned, if it's talking about actual Gentiles or is it talking about Israelites that became Gentiles, it is crucially important to know the history. Without the history, you will be unable to understand the mysteries of prophecy. So, without further ado, let's start off with 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 1.
1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women.
So King Solomon loved strange women. We're going to get an understanding of when the Bible says strange women, who is it consisting of? Read.
Together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites.
So these are going into women of other nations, right? America and across the four corners of the earth, you see a lot of interracial mingling, interracial marriages, and things of that nature happening, right? King Solomon did the same thing, but actually it's a transgression of God's laws. Read on.
Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel.
Unto the children of Israel this was said to. Read.
Ye shall not go in to them.
You should not be mingling and having sex with women of the other nations and marrying them. Read.
Neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your hearts after their gods.
So they're going to turn away your mind after their gods. They're going to cause you to start serving idols, fall into idolatry, right? Read.
Solomon clave unto these in love.
But Solomon found himself cleaving unto these women in love. Read on.
And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. And his wives turned away his heart.
They turned away his mind from serving God. Read on.
For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods. And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians.
Read on.
And after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites.
Read on.
And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord.
So these women caused him to do evil in the sight of the Lord, to fall into idolatry, to serve other gods. Just like, for example, Edomite women, they celebrate Christmas and things of that nature. Chinese women, they celebrate Chinese New Year, Buddha, and all of that. Elam celebrate Krishna and all that. That's the reason why us as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we stay within our own people and marry them, because we supposed to be keeping the commandments of God in the faith of Christ. Read.
And went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father.
So he erred from the Lord, mingling with these other nations. Jump to verse 11.
Verse 11. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, For as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes.
So you can keep the commandments and the statutes of not mingling with the other nations, read.
Which I have commanded thee. I will surely rend the kingdom from thee.
I'm going to rend the kingdom from thee. I'm going to split the kingdom from you. You're not going to have all 12 tribes of Israel under your subjection. Read on.
And will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it for David thy father's sake.
So I'm not going to take the kingdom for your father's David's sake, but after you die, I will. Read.
But I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake.
So that one tribe is going into Benjamin, right? The tribe of Benjamin, who are the so-called West Indian blacks. So Judah and Benjamin would dwell together. Eventually, Levi would as well, because there will be the Levitical priests. But read on.
And for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. And the Lord
So you can stop there. Let's jump to verse 28 and read to 32 real quick.
Verse 28. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Solomon, seeing the young man, that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge of the house of Joseph.
So we reading about Jeroboam here because he's going to be the next person that's going to be after King Solomon to take the 10 tribes from King Solomon, right? Read on.
And it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way, and he had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him and rent it in 12 pieces.
So he seen Jeroboam and he took, Ahijah seen Jeroboam and took Jeroboam's new garment, ripped it off of him, and cut it in 12 pieces, right? Read.
And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces. For thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee.
So this was prophecy for Jeroboam to be ruler over the 10 tribes of Israel, right? Read on.
But he shall have one tribe for my servant David's sake.
Going into Judah and Benjamin. Read.
And for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel.
So now, after Solomon passes away, Jeroboam will be the king over the 10 tribes of Israel. But King Solomon had a son that's going to reign, and instead where this prophecy is going to come to pass, right? So let's get to 1 Kings chapter 12. Read verse 1.
1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 1. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel were come to Shechem to make him king. And it came to pass, when Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who was yet in Egypt, heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon. And Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt.
Because Jeroboam had to flee from Solomon because Solomon was trying to kill him because he knew that that was going to be the servant that was going to take over rulership, right? But Rehoboam, which is Solomon's son, is the next king that's about to be brought up. Now let's read.
That they sent and called him. And Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, Thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore, make thou the grievous service of thy father, and his heavy yoke which he put upon us lighter, and we will serve thee. And he said unto them, Depart yet for 3 days, then come again to me. And the people departed. And King Rehoboam consulted with the old men that stood before Solomon his father while he yet lived, and said, How do ye advise that I may answer this people?
So, King Solomon, when he was alive, had the children of Israel building up idols in the land for all of his wives, and they made the yoke heavy. They wanted Rehoboam, who was King Solomon's son, to make the yoke lighter that they may be able to serve the king. This is the climactic point that we're going to get to where the split is actually going to happen. It all starts with counsel. Read verse 7.
Verse 7. And they spake unto him, saying, If thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, and wilt serve them, and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be thy servants forever.
See, now he's saying that they'll be his servants forever if he just make the yoke lighter on the people, that they may be able to serve Rehoboam as king over all 12 tribes of Israel. But verse 8 real quick.
But he forsook the counsel of the old men.
That's just like in today's time. Nobody of the younger generation want to listen to the elders before them that have more wisdom. They rather speak to someone of their age group because they're going to tell them what they want to hear. Watch this.
Which they had given him, and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him, and which stood before him.
So he basically talked to the homies to get counsel instead of those that served as counselors to his father, which was Solomon. Let's jump to verse 13.
Verse 13. And the king answered the people roughly, and forsook the old men's counsel.
So Rehoboam spoke unto the people roughly and forsook the counsel to keep them in his favor. Watch this.
That they gave him, and spake to them after the counsel of the young men, saying, My father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father also chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions.
So I'm going to chastise you with scorpions and make the yoke heavier. Watch this. Read on.
Wherefore the king hearkened not unto the people, for the cause was from the Lord, that he might perform his saying, which the Lord spake by Ahijah the Shilonite unto Jeroboam the son of Nebat.
Where he was going to give Jeroboam the 10 tribes of Israel. That prophecy had to come to pass through what we're reading here. Read on.
So when all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered the king, saying, What portion have we in David? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel. Now see to thine own house, David. So Israel departed unto their tents. But as for the children of Israel, which dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them.
So Rehoboam reigned over those tribes that was in Judah, right? And Jeroboam reigned over the 10 tribes of Israel. Cap, can we get that map up real quick? All right, so with this map here, this is the divided kingdom. It says 1 Kings chapter 12 on here. This is what we're reading. Israel was all 12 tribes at one point, but through the split, King Jeroboam got the green section, which was the 10 tribes of Israel. Solomon's sons Rehoboam got the kingdom of Judah. At that time, who was there was the tribe of Judah and also the tribe of Benjamin. Levi eventually comes into that land after the kingdom of Israel goes off into idolatry. You could drop that. Let's go to, let's see here. 26. Let's go to chapter 12, verse 26.
1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 26. And Jeroboam said in his heart, Now shall the kingdom return to the house of David, if this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem. Then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Lord, even unto Rehoboam, king of Judah, and they shall kill me, and go again to Rehoboam, king of Judah. Whereupon
stop there real quick. So what happened here was that there was 3 high holy days you had to return to Jerusalem to keep. It's Passover, the Feast of Pentecost, and the Feast of Tabernacles. So Jeroboam feared them going back onto the kingdom of Judah to keep those high holy days, and he feared that he was going to lose his rulership to them and eventually get killed. So this is what he does. Watch this.
Verse 28. Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold and said unto them, It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And he set the one in Bethel, and the other put he in Dan.
So now he's causing the 10 tribes of Israel to go off into idolatry. The first commandment, thou shalt not have no other gods before me. Read on.
And this thing became a sin. For the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan.
Read on.
And he made an house of high places, and made priests of the lowest of the people.
Which were what?
Which were not of the sons of Levi.
So he started making priests of people from other tribes that was the lowest of the people, that wasn't the tribes of Levi. So Levi is like, hey, y'all going off into idolatry. There's no need for us to be here. We finna go back to Judah. That's when the kingdom of Judah became Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. So this is the split that we're reading here, and we're also going into a little bit of how the northern kingdom 10 tribes are referred to as Gentiles, and that's what the New Testament is mostly consistent of when they be talking about them. Real quick, let's go to Hosea chapter 1. Let's see here. Get a quick prophecy. Start from about verse 6.
The book of Hosea, chapter 1 and verse 6. And she conceived again and bare a daughter. And God said unto him, Call her name Leruhamah. For I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away.
I will utterly take away the house of Israel, the 10 tribes of Israel, because they went off into idolatry. Jump to verse 9.
Verse 9. Then said God, Call his name Lo-Ami. For ye are not my people, and I will not be your God.
So the 10 tribes of Israel have no longer became God's people through prophecy because they went off into idolatry, right? It all started with the split. That's why you got to read this history. Let's go to Hosea chapter 4 and verse 17 real quick. This is what happened to Ephraim. Cap, can you pull that map up real quick one more time? So when you look at this map, another word in the scriptures for the kingdom of Israel is Ephraim, because the capital is Samaria, right? Samaria is where the tribe of Ephraim was at. The head tribe of the 10 tribes of Israel is known as Ephraim. So what we're reading here in Hosea 4 and 17, read this. You could drop that.
Hosea chapter 4 and verse 17. Ephraim is joined to idols.
So when it says Ephraim is joined to idols, it's talking about collectively the 10 tribes of Israel. They all went off into idolatry by serving other gods through the king of Jeroboam. Read.
Let him alone.
Let him alone. God is not dealing with them no more. If God does not deal with you, and that makes you a Gentile, because he only deals with the Israelites. So that's the history of the split. It started with Solomon mingling with women of the other nations, and it led to Jeroboam causing the 10 tribes of Israel to go off into idolatry, and that ultimately leads into the Assyrian captivity. So that's another edition of 15 Minutes with the Lions. Hope you gleaned something about the split of Southern Kingdom and Northern Kingdom. And with that, we say shalom.
Shalom.